Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today we're going to show you something for organization. This will actually be for work. And what I've got, here's our problem. Got all these screwdrivers, right? And different things too. And they go in my toolbox, and every time I close my drawer of my toolbox, they go wherever. Unless you close it really lightly, which nobody does. So we're going to show you a quick way to fix that so that that won't happen, and at the same time it may even work for other purposes, and I'll show you that towards the end. But let's go ahead and get started, show you what I'm going to do. Alright, so here's all my screwdrivers. What I've got here, these are some rare earth magnets. You can get these just about anywhere, but these specifically came from Harbor Freight. Just happened to pick them up while I was there. And I think they come in 10 packs, so I've got several screwdrivers here, a little bit more than that. So this is what I've got left of 2 packs. Anyway, all we're going to do is, this I believe is a 21/64 drill bit, which is slightly bigger than these magnets. And we're actually going to drill a hole in the back of each one of these screwdrivers. So we put our hole in here, and it's going to be just deep enough that we're going to be able to get some epoxy in there and go ahead and put these magnets in. So all we do is take one of our screwdrivers, pick a place in the end, and if you wanted to, you could go ahead and use a punch, but this doesn't have to be accurate. Go ahead and start our hole and just drill until we get it deep enough. Now, one thing you can do is maybe put the screwdriver in a vise, so that you can actually make sure that you're not going to slip and hit your fingers or something. And you don't have to go too deep, but if you do go too deep, it's fine, because it's going to give the epoxy somewhere to actually grip onto. Now, that right there is a little too deep, but that's good, because now I can do what I'd really like to do. So my next step here, if you can see that, we've got our hole, but it's a little too deep. I'm actually going to take my Dremel tool, and I'm going to go just inside the hole, and I'm going to round out the inside of it so that the outer hole, or the outer part of the hole, is actually just a little bit smaller than what's on the inside. And there's a reason for that. Stand by. Well, I'm not really sure if you can see this, but as you can see, it's got a little ball there on the end, which will give me a nice round groove inside this where I've drilled it already. So we just take it. We're going to go right around the inside of here, making sure that we don't touch the outer surface. So I know you can't really see that, but there is a little groove going around the inside of there. And what that's going to allow is for the epoxy to make sure that it stays in here. One of the things I've had problems with is epoxy not sticking to some types of plastic, and that's just the nature of epoxy. This will make sure that it will fill that void, and since the hole on the outside is slightly smaller, it won't be able to come out. So I know it'll stick to the magnet fairly well, but as far as this plastic, I'm not really sure. So that will just ensure that it stays in there. So we'll go ahead and do that with all the other ones. Alright, so I'm just about done here, but I want to show you this. Run into a few different problems. One is this screwdriver here has a hole that goes all the way through. So whenever I drilled through, of course it's going to go into that hole. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to cover up, put some tape on these, and that way I can fill the entire void with epoxy. Should just hold that much better. This is not really a screwdriver. This is a deburring tool, but it's actually hollow on the inside so that you can put some bits in it, or the spares, the spare blades. And so I'm going to have to actually put the magnet in and put the epoxy in from the back side so that I can just leave it like this and let it dry like that, or let it cure like that. That way all my epoxy doesn't leak out and my magnet won't be in the wrong place. Now the other thing is this tiny little screwdriver here. As you can see, the hole's a little lopsided there. So where I said you should probably use or you might want to use a punch or something, this would be the good time to use a punch. I've got one more here. If you don't have a punch, and I don't have one here, I got one at work but just not here, use anything you want. But just find your center exactly where it needs to be, and then go ahead and you can use a nail for this, or maybe even a screw, and then just mark your hole there. Press it in a little bit. That'll give a place for your drill bit to actually go against, and stay centered, hopefully. Alright, so now that we're done, just go ahead and take your take a little brush out the inside of these, blow out whatever excess might be in there, and they should be ready. So we got our cardboard ready for the epoxy. We've got, just took a piece of scrap pegboard. This is a bit that I had for scrap from my pegboard project. You guys can take a look at the link for that. I believe it would be up here or up here, I'm not sure which. Either way, I just used the screws that were in my bench, just unscrewed them a bit, put this in there, screwed it back down, and then I jammed all my screwdrivers through here. So now they're all upright and ready for the epoxy. Now one thing I'm going to use to make sure that the magnets stay on the surface is these. These are just some roofing nails, and the only one that's going to be different is this one here, and I've actually attached the magnet to it, and I'm going to put it through the hole, and then I'm going to put this little piece that came on the back of my deburring tool, I'm going to put it over the top of the magnet. That way whenever I put the epoxy in there, it'll all settle down where it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and mix up the epoxy first. Alright, so the epoxy's all cured. As you can see right here, I've got them organized in my drawer of my toolbox, and as I roll the drawer forward and back, it may come loose if I really slam it, but for the most part just the normal operation, open and closing the drawer, it's going to stay in place there. Here you can see another use I thought of was go ahead and hang them up. I was worried about whether or not the magnet there would be strong enough for my largest screwdriver, and it happened to be that it was. If it wasn't, then luckily the bigger screwdriver's got a bigger handle. You can just put a bigger magnet in there if you needed to. But anyway, it hangs there. You can just plainly, reach and grab whichever one you need, pull it off, use it. The good thing about it is that magnet is not going on the tip of the screwdriver, so you don't have an issue with it magnetizing and all your screws sticking to it. Now, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, but for the most part, I feel anyway that it's best to just not have it magnetized. So, but now you can hang it if you need to. You can put a little piece of metal under a shelf, so you know, just screw it to it so that you can stick all these onto it, or you can stick it to the bottom of a metal shelf. But they're always hanging there for you, or they're nicely organized in a drawer, and you don't have to worry about it. So if you like this idea, I definitely love to hear about it. If you make your own, love to hear about that too. Tell me how it works. I'm always interested in see what other people find. So appreciate you guys watching, and like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and send some comments my way. So you guys take care.